Bedley.
Iawn, Mr Deputy Speaker, for calling me to speak this evening's debate, and a belated Dydd Gwl Dewi hapus to you and all members of the House. I am grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this wide-ranging debate on Welsh affairs, and I would also like to join others in this House in congratulating the Honourable Member for Ynys Môn for securing the debate, and very much welcome the fact that it is now held in government time. It will come as no surprise to Honourable and Right Honourable Members that I intend to concentrate my remarks on Ceredigion, the constituency which I have the honour of representing. In particular, I would like to argue this evening that a significant rethink, if not a recasting of economic strategy, is needed if Ceredigion and other areas of Wales are not left behind in the years to come. Mr Deputy Speaker, my underlying contention is not that it is not being overly ambitious, let alone idealistic, to believe that the prospects for individuals living in rural areas should be just as promising as those living elsewhere. The children of Ceredigion deserve the very same opportunities as those of other constituencies. Adults there should be afforded career prospects and be afforded the ability to enjoy life similar to that enjoyed by those inhabiting other areas of the United Kingdom. Now, I am in no way espousing that the UK government grants Ceredigion preferential treatment, although I could certainly be persuaded of the merits of such an approach. But I am perhaps rather arguing for fair play, or as we say in Wales, parity. It may be too much to ask for, but I do believe that Wales sorely needs an economic strategy that facilitates growth in both rural and urban areas if we are to avoid building a geographically unbalanced Welsh economy. The development of the rural economy should form a key part of an economic strategy for Wales. We need look no further than the state of today's UK economy to appreciate the consequences of an unbalanced approach to economic development. Or better still, turn to page 218 of the government's own industrial strategy white paper, which illustrates all too clearly how focusing attention and investment in urban areas has meant that the productivity of rural areas such as Ceredigion is consistently below that of the UK average, and in stark and depressing contrast to that of larger towns and cities. It is for this reason that I cautiously welcome the government's announcement of a Mid-Wales growth deal, as at least a tacit acknowledgement that Ceredigion, and as both the members for Brecon and Radnor and Montgomery are in their places, Powys, have been overlooked for far too long. Now, I know that time constraints meant that the Secretary of State was unable to speak on this issue in greater depth, but perhaps in summing up we may learn a little bit more about the potential of the Mid-Wales growth deal. Because a growth deal for Mid-Wales, if adequately resourced and successfully bringing communities and businesses together, could be a real opportunity to address the consequences of the area's chronic underinvestment and neglect by successive governments. It is also a chance to diversify the base of the rural economy of that part of Wales, to ensure that, just like the economic success stories of the cities, the economy of rural Wales is rooted in a rich mixture of sectors and industries. This so that in the future, the children and young people of Ceredigion have ample opportunity to pursue a prosperous living in the county and are not forced to move elsewhere for work. Mr Deputy Speakers, members of the House will have previously heard me speak about the difficulties many of my constituents face in accessing fast and reliable broadband. This is a significant barrier to Ceredigion's economic growth, let alone a source of great frustration for households across the county. Broadband and good digital connectivity in general is no longer a luxury. In the 21st century, it is increasingly becoming an essential amenity. As such, I very much hope that poor connectivity is something that the Mid-Wales growth deal will address. The Honourable Member for Montgomeryshire rightly pointed out to the investment in roads, but I do also hope that some investment will be put in digital connectivity. For broadband, or rather the lack of it, is by far the most prevalent issue raised by constituents in Ceredigion, which is unfortunately among the 10 worst constituencies for broadband speeds. Rural Wales, therefore, should not be written off as an area without potential. Why should it be the case that shared office spaces and other opportunities afforded to start-ups and small businesses are poorer in rural areas, or that essential utilities such as adequate broadband and mobile infrastructure are dismissed sometimes as luxuries if you live in areas like Ceredigion? Now, I'm conscious of the time, Mr Speaker, so I will like to draw my remarks to a close by arguing that increasing investment in Mid-Wales is of the utmost importance, not solely due to the fact that Ceredigion and more generally West Wales and the Valleys among the most deprived areas of Western Europe, but also for the impact that greater job opportunities will have on reducing poverty levels. Indeed, West Wales and the Valleys, as many members here this evening will know all too well, has been in receipt of significant EU structural funding. The United Kingdom Government has previously mentioned that a UK Prosperity Fund will be established to replace this structural funding post-Brexit. I think that members from both sides of the House will agree that the funds allocated by it should at least equal the European funding and be allocated on the basis of need and not population. If the case for Ceredigion needing further investment needs justification, I would turn the attention of the House to the poverty levels, and in particular the level of child poverty in my constituency. After housing costs, nearly 29% of children in Ceredigion live in poverty. Now, research by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation has shown that in order to truly tackle this shameful affliction, we need to improve the quality of existing housing stock, increase the supply of affordable housing, and ensure a fairer social security system. I won't have time this evening to go into those, but they also say that half the battle could be won by increasing wages and improving job opportunities. And so I would.
I'm grateful for giving way because, Mr Deputy Speaker, I've spent nearly every year of my life going to Aberystwyth on holiday, and I want to ask him on this thing about investment, whether he agrees with me that the beautiful coastline and amazing rural environment and great history around Ceredigion, in particular Aberystwyth, is something that should be invested in. Now people who are a lot more money, a bit older, don't want to get skin cancer, don't want to, think about hot Paris environment. Ceredigion is a great place to go, as is Aberystwyth, where my father was from. Would he agree that we should be investing in that and promoting Aberystwyth as an opportunity for a great holiday?
I certainly agree with the honourable member, and in fact I go even further by saying that they should also pay a visit to the coastal towns of Aberaeron, Newquay, Aberporth and Cardigan, where and both in the north. Everyone is very welcome to come along to visit us in Ceredigion. I'm sure you will all agree that it is the best, prettiest constituency in the whole of Wales. But if I would just return to my final point, Mr Deputy Speaker, insofar as greater investment will help tackle poverty levels, I have no doubt that both Welsh and UK governments desperately need to reconsider their approach to economic development and to refocus attention on rural areas such as Ceredigion, to ensure that Ceredigion and other rural areas form an integral part of any economic strategy, and far more than an afterthought, and also ran a non-essential addition to the real effort of developing our cities and urban areas, which is all too often seemingly the case. People should have a realistic hope of being able to pursue a career, afford to settle down and lead a prosperous life in any part of Wales. And Mr Deputy Speaker, I for one am sure that the people of Ceredigion deserve no less.